The far left and the far right are two polarizing political ideologies that eventually lead to the same absolution of power. You see, it doesn't matter if you take the road to your left or your right, they both lead to the same destination. They both lead to more control, more power, or the maintenance of the existing power itself. One through the direct path of aggression and the other through the indirect route of passive aggression. One's route to power is said to be about community, the other is said to be about sovereignty. However, you cannot consolidate one without the other. Community without sovereignty, that is. I would say it would be hard to find an accurate example of community in the modern society. You would likely have to look at the few remaining indigenous cultures of the world for true examples of community. To put it simply, a strong community is built upon the respect, the belief, the wonder, the empowerment, and the support of the individual. That means the sovereignty of the individual. The political rhetoric of right and left politics historically comes from the French Revolution in the 18th century, where the people on the left sided with the revolution, whilst the people on the right sided with the monarchy. So it was essentially for rich or for poor. That was the original debate. So fundamentally, the right believes social inequality is inevitable, whilst the left are meant to believe in an equal society. Today, the far right still gaslights the people by implying we are not all equal. They believe certain individuals are better, i.e. they themselves are better, so they deserve better. They believe it's a dog-eat-dog world, so it's survival of the fittest. They imply the far left is trying to take away their freedom and the ability to create the capitalist dream to strike it rich, even though the system is a monopoly rigged to keep the less than 1% rich and everyone else poor. As you can see, with the gulf between social classes getting bigger and bigger, then on the other hand, the far left gaslights the people by implying that their policies are for the benefit of all, but truly they benefit keeping the power in the hands of the rich through lower class people doing all the work, paying more taxes for life's necessities, whilst the rich pay little to none, or the rich obtaining better ways to control the poor through things like digital ID, social credit systems, online censorship, to name but a few. But as you can see, both left and right often flip-flop. Another example of leftist gaslighting is filthy rich people like Bill Gates and WEF spokespersons all saying the same slogans like, "You will own nothing and be happy. Own nothing, okay, while they own everything." I thought the left was about equality. Do you remember during that rough period beginning in 2020, when they said we should surrender all manner of our natural rights to government and organizations for the benefit of everyone or the elderly? But what about young people? You know, those who are the very future itself? You see, both sides are designed to divide and distract people from the truth. Both sides can flip-flop and show the negative aspect of the other when it suits them, or when fear, stress triggers are manifesting in society or in the individual's own reality. Both sides hold some truths, but without context can be very misleading. For example, the far right are correct in that we are not all equal, scientifically speaking that is. But consciously speaking, equality does not always mean the same amount. Giving a child an adult portion of food would eventually lead to obesity or the wasting of the food. Giving an adult a child portion of food would not give them sufficient sustenance. The gaslighting is in that they don't believe in equality. They believe they deserve their economic, social status, or the dogmatic belief that they can climb the social economic ladder to rub shoulders with the elites. They both operate under the premise of scarcity, that there's not enough money, even though they can and do just print money out of thin air, then loan it to individuals, or even worse, third world countries with huge interests, keeping them in debt that ends in the third world countries surrendering their raw minerals, the true wealth, for essentially nothing. The raw minerals they stockpile and control can be used to raise or lower the value due to creating scarcity. You will never truly know what is scarce though, so you will just have to take their most trustworthy word for it. You will not have a way around it due to your lower financial social class. The rich, however, will have the latest tech available on finance. Lower classes will again be paying higher carbon tax for the energy they need or the products they purchase that are packaged in plastic, which is also a part of the petroleum oil industry. The waste of some countries in the global north is shipped off to the developing world to be burnt or landfilled to make it seem as though the West has drastically lowered their carbon footprint, which in turn lowers their carbon tax. Can you see how these financial bureaucratic systems are the true mechanisms of power? It does not matter which side you lean towards because you have fallen for the oldest trick in the book. Divide and conquer, polarization, left or right, male, female, black, white, you name it. And by sleight of hand, whilst you squabble over your petty indifferences, they are busy obtaining more power. Their three pillars of power are finance, intelligence, and religion. All other systems of control stem from these three pillars. Things like government, education, science, technology, and media. Stop supporting these three main systems. Stop compromising with evil, because that compromise can be used against you. Remember, the real enemy is the rich class. Remember that there's enough land and resources for everybody to live like kings. Remember that whilst your eyes are fixed on each other, your eyes are no longer fixed on Sauron and Mordor. Stay tuned for future videos where I will systematically break down these three pillars of power. Big love and respect to all my Medjay warriors out there.